Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm almost professional. Welcome to Rock and Recovery. Your host is me. I'm Jay. This is a special guest. I want to say it's Karolina. Hopefully, I said that right. I'm not even going to try the last name. So, how are you today?
I'm good. Most people try that because they see the K and they're sort of like, it's got to be Karolina. I just say it's Carolina. Plus, that way I get two states, right? Like, so.
Okay. Yeah, you
So I'm
get the
going to go
north
with
and
that. But
south.
either or totally works fine. But I think it's just people are like, oh, it's just Carolina with the K. That being because I'm from Hungary. So we would spell it with as thus.
Okay. So you're from Hungary, huh?
I'm from Hungary. Yeah.
That is awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I work currently as like I would say like I'm a career coach, strategist, thought partner. I work with people, hence the Pivot Club, who are either wanting to get out of their like 9 to 5s and like go towards the entrepreneurial route, which is always I'm excited about, or they want to, a different shift in your normal life. Like, you know what? I've been in a relationship for a really long time. Is it still serving me? Is it still where I want to be? So we get to kind of uncover these questions. And so some people are like, oh, I come to her for this type of help, that type of help. And I'm always like, you're coming to me. I'm helping you at this, but you have all the answers. Like, I'm not a person who's ever going to say, I know this better. You know that. No, only you, but you do have all the answers. So I just kind of help uncover that and unleash that for people. So that's really, really cool. Hence, before that, I was in education for almost 20 years.
20 years as a teacher?
As a lot of things, as a teacher, as a dean of students, as a learning specialist, and then I did found a school. So I did found a school, which turned into a curriculum, but social emotional learning, entrepreneurship, critical thinking was where I really got jazzed and like light up and lit up. And that's where that led to. So, but after that, I was like, adios, amigo.
So what age group did you work with?
Predominantly middle school and high school.
Oh, that's a rough age right there. They're just coming into their own, just learning how to cope with everybody else and deal with feelings and everything. How was that?
See, this is the thing. And people are always like, those are the hardest times. To me, they were the best. I felt that middle school, this big question of identity, who am I? Like, that's the real question. It's like, who am I? They're going to care more about their peers than they're going to care about you or their parents or anybody. It's totally normal. That's their biology. That's like their brains. So you just got to kind of accept that, meet them where they are, meet them at their level, treat them as like human beings and not as little kids anymore. Cause I think that's what makes them cringe a little bit. And with high school, I mean, that's fun. Like high school is fun. They're much more independent. Again, you got to nurture and foster those feelings and make sure that what's going on with them is valid. But I guess because I have more of a youthful spirit, I think that it was okay. Like we were okay because I wasn't the typical, all right, students, let's open up your notebook.
All right, back to class.
Yeah, no. Like there was there was absolutely none of that. And I really genuinely always cared about how they were doing. And kids are so freaking smart, by the way. I don't know when people they're so intuitive. They're so smart. They get everything. So going in, I knew that. And I think that's why I was able to like have a significant amount of success with them, to be honest.
All right. So I know in your profile, it says you struggled with addiction and burnout.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you walk us through that and how that happened?
Ooh, that's a more exciting story, right?
That's
the real stuff. This was like fun. Like we got to cover
the nitty gritty stuff. Yes.
Let's get to the messy. Having said that, like growing up in Hungary, I definitely had access to just substances, I think at a much younger age. I'm not blaming anything or anyone. And, you could definitely go to the store and be like, hey, my dad just like wanted like a bottle of vodka and a bottle of wine. Because, if they'd ask, is it for you? No, it's not for dad. Dude, do I look like I'm going to be drinking at like 12, 13, 14? No, it's for dad. Like, I just got to take it for dad. So, so I was privy to it a little bit, maybe earlier. And then I would say, and I know people say this, is like when I hear people now as a coach and people are like, I had the most normal childhood. Those are the people when I have red flags going off in my head. But I still say that like I had a great, like I had a good childhood. I had a single parent, but who did everything for us, for me and my brother. And I really feel that we got good education. We got a lot of support. There was no instability. There was none of that yet. Now through counseling and through all of it, I can see that probably I was looking for love and affection and attention in the wrong places. And at 16, 17, I kind of hit the, let them, like I hit the races. And I just started hanging out with much older people, like, 30s, 40s, I would say. Got a lot of attention. And I got really exposed to, even the hard drugs at like a younger age. And I loved to party. I loved the attention. I loved being out for 3 days. I was still going to school. I was still doing the things. But by my early 30s, that really caught up to me, to the point where that was when I was drinking alone. That's when I was drugging alone. It was a Monday through Sunday thing. It became a Monday through Thursday because I was always working. I was like building things. Like I was working, but it kind of progressed. I always say that, we all know this, like addiction is a progressive, deadly disease. To everybody at some point, it's going to catch up to you. And then the last 5 years of my 30s was when it was really dark. So it was, that's when like the law came in, problems with that, DUIs, other things along the way. I definitely realized that something was wrong. I always knew that actually that I was drinking alcoholically, because my first drink was a blackout, right? Like my first drink was a blackout that continued. And so now I know that it's not just the alcohol. It was my thinking that was really fucked up, to be honest, as well. Very self-centered, very self-absorbed, very me. But the last 5 years were just dark. I didn't take myself, like I got took out of the game. I would say that. I had a really bad incident after a few weeks benders, where I landed in the hospital, which is now I'm like, God bless that. And, because it was an 8-day detox is what I call it.
Wow.
And 5 days of no sleeping and a lot of things. And they wanted to take me to a psych ward and do a bunch of things. And I said, I'm not psychotic. But that's when you say people say that, I'm like, do you even need to say that? I was like, I don't feel psychotic. Like, I don't feel that I'm psychotic. Like what I wanted in the hospital was just some clothes so I could do yoga on the floor. And I just wanted a notebook just to write my thoughts. And I was like,
That's crazy.
I was like, I'll leave everybody alone, but give me a notebook, allow me to do some yoga. Please give me my clothes. Fine if you don't give me my clothes with like my shoes with shoelaces, but please just like treat me like a human being, not like someone that. Anyways, it was a shit show. It was a mess. But then I was like, I don't want to go to a psych ward. I was like, what I would like to probably do and what makes sense is to go to rehab. So rehab is a part of my story. I had an incredible rehab experience. I'm not sure everybody does. I had a fantastic one. I did go back to Hungary for it. And it was 5 of us and 13 addiction counselors.
Wow.
So that was one of those, I was to say the moment of no hiding. Like that was the moment where you just don't hide anymore, and kind of you get to uncover all the reasons for kind of what led you here. That was nearly 2 years ago. I just passed 2 years on the 5th of November.
Congratulations.
I'm very active in AA. So that is also a part of my story. I really believe in the power of that community. I believe in sponsorship. I believe in doing the steps. And I believe that it is going to be a program that I never graduate from. And God bless the fact that it'll be a program that I never graduate from. So more shall be revealed.
So during that, I know you said you struggled with it. So were you actively teaching and dealing with your addiction at the same time?
Yeah.
You were hiding it while you're at school?
Yeah.
Did that affect your job? I'm sorry if it's a little rough, but did it affect your job going with your everyday decision making, or do you think you remained like the same present minded, but just hid in the office type thing?
I don't think that anybody can like remain there is no way that you're now, because I a little bit of time and I can see myself now from the outside, maybe, or in terms of like how present I think I am or how present I hope to be. People saw the signs. People knew. I think the just, I don't know how much the students picked up on, but I'm very, very close with some of them. So now they all know the story. And actually I even taught in higher ed just a few years ago. And so they also know now, and they're just so grateful that I talk about it, that I'm open about it, that they can come to me as a resource and can tell me stuff, and I'm not going to judge them. But there's no way that I was present. I mean, building a school and running that, I mean, my colleagues also saw that there were many things that were off. It's just, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel it's a very sensitive and sticky. Like, how do you ask someone? Like, how do you ask someone if you're gonna ask someone like, are you okay? And they're gonna be like, yeah, I'm fine. It's just a busy day. How do you probe? How do you go deeper? Right? Like,
You really can't, without being almost rude or intrusive. You really can't. You got to almost wait until you've got to wait until they hit rock bottom or until they decide to change themselves. And now I'll be honest, it's hard. You can see a person messing up all the time, and that they're not present. We're just going to say they're not present, whether that be struggles with mental health or addiction. They're not present, and you can tell that they're not. And no matter how much, it's like, are you okay? Yeah, sure. I'm good. I'm dealing. I'm managing. Okay. 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 You can't really do much more than that until they bring it to you.
Right. I always say that, especially in the rooms and we hear about it, when you're ready, but you have to be ready. Like that part is the willingness and like to admit that I'm powerless over this disease. I always say that I think that's the step that you really got to do well. The rest can be however you want it and you can make it your own. But that's the step that you have to get to and like literally get down on your knees and say, whatever I've been doing, I just can't do it anymore. This is not working for me. This is not sustainable. This is not manageable. And this is not the way that I want to live my life moving forward. So to go back to that, I'm sure that the signs were there. A lot of people knew. People didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know what to say.
The right questions.
Interventions are difficult, I think, just to jump in. My family definitely sat me down and had conversations. And I was like, never again, just this last time. No, that like the bullshit excuses. It's
all the promises.
All
I'll
the
change,
promises.
I promise. Yeah.
Yeah. All the promises, not this time, but this happened because of this. This happened because of this. Well, that really didn't happen that way. And some people get tired of the bullshit. Like I definitely have lost people along this journey, people that I'm not in contact with. And that's okay. I think everybody has to do what's best for them. Right. And this is an action program then. It's really hard at times, I think, to trust and believe what an addict is going to say. So it has to be through your actions, right? Like it has to be through your actions. And people at some point, some people will see the transformation. Some people will see the growth if they choose, if they don't. But I mean, I'm not really doing this to prove anything to anybody either, if that makes any sense.
You're doing it to prove that you can do it yourself. That's it. I'm the only one that I have to prove my sobriety and my recovery to is myself. I don't really care what the outside world thinks of me. It's myself that I got to deal with mostly.
Always.
Yeah. I can't hide from myself. I did that in addiction. I can't hide from myself anymore.
Right.
And, that goes to, I know somebody that I just recently got into a rehab center and I'm friends with, I connected him through him on the podcast, but the person that in Texas, and he was an alcoholic and he just wanted to complain and then wanted help, but didn't know how. So I hooked him up. I really got him his bed at this place. And then the very next day, he's complaining. I'm like, bro, if you're just one of those people that want to get drunk, you want to get wasted and just complain about your life, don't complain to people that I know and make everybody feel sorry for you until you're going to put action behind your freaking words. And then yesterday he went. So, sometimes it's that tough love that you need.
Yeah, I think sometimes about like tough love and like what kind of love we need to get to people. I know that I had people in my life that enabled some of my behaviors to go on way too long. It was in rehab when we really understood the roles of people in their lives and kind of what they take on. So I'm very grateful. Well, I don't know. I'm grateful that they held on for so long, but I thought about that. I was saying that out loud and I'm like, am I grateful or am I not? But I can't change that. Like my story is the way that it is. Like the past, anything that happened yesterday or before this is the past. So I can't go back and change that. But what I'm hearing from that story too is like, if the pain of staying where you are is bad enough, then like, let me rephrase that. If the pain of where you are isn't bad enough, then it still
There's
needs to
no
hurt.
reason. Yeah.
Then it needs to hurt a little more, right? Like
Yeah.
it needs to hurt a little more. I know that when I got to the hospital and they were like, you were not leaving, like you're absolutely not leaving, you're staying, for multitude of reasons. When I sat there and like no phone, no contact to people, just a glass room, 24-hour supervision, a number of doctors kind of going through these plans of like these psychiatric facilities and da da da. I literally have a notebook that I kept from that. And it was just writing letters to God or to a higher power and saying, if I ever get out of here, this was the last time you will ever see me here. Sure, it's a promise, like who knows, but I've kept it for this amount of time. But I knew in that moment that this is where I never, ever, ever want to get back to, because I looked around and I was like, what has my life become? Like this is where I am. So, and that's not that sounded like I want to make that sound like some ego thing of like where I am,
No, no.
but I don't, but it was just, I was so helpless. I was so hopeless. I felt so like, someone like
Lost.
lost, like totally lost. And just like, how did we get here? Like, I knew how we got here, but,
Absolutely.
but gee, like, wow. Like,
Yeah.
and I was 39. I was like, going to be like, I was like, are you serious? I was like, this is like my
You
life.
had a career track. You had everything. Literally, had everything going for you. In somebody else looking outside, looking in, you had everything going for you. And that's normally how, unless it's obvious that you don't have everything going for you, it's normally the way it is, because especially with alcohol, attractively packaged poison. Somebody told me the other day, and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. I
It's so
wonder,
easy to hide.
I really wonder if, how, like, I don't know, but like even in the States for sure, I see it. And even in Europe, like a lot of places have banned cigarette smoking, right? Like you can't
Mhm.
do it in restaurants, like in certain places, like in France, you can still light up and like whatever. But in a lot of places, like cigarette smoking, and like I work with a lot of youth, right? And so for them, we talk about this, for them, alcohol is even considered a poison. Like they are wise enough, way smarter than I was at that age, where they even talk about this. And I wonder if alcohol is going to be one of those substances that in 10, 15, 20 years, people who are younger than us are going to say, why would I do that? Like, if you look at everything that alcohol stands for and like what's in it, why in the world would you put that through your body? Now, you're walking to the wrong audience. There were a number of reasons. But, I also know from my story that I look back and I was always saying, I'm so depressed. I'm so anxious. I'm so nervous. What's really interesting is that very seldom these past 2 years have those statements come out of my mouth. Sure, I have moments of worry. I have moments of doubt. I have moments of fear. I'm a human being. Like that is normal, but I don't like fester in them. I don't dwell in them. I don't let that consume my life. And if those real feelings come on where I'm like, I don't know what to do, boom, I open up the meeting app. Guess what? There's probably about 80 meetings going on in my neighborhood today. Go to a meeting, call someone in the program, call my sponsor, journal it out, and it's going to pass, because it's literally just a snapshot or a moment in like my day. That's it.
How much of your addiction or your recovery shaped your future, like to right where you are now, from going from teacher to a coach? How much of that was affected by your recovery?
That's a very interesting question. I know that I was already on this path when I was working as a coach before, even though I was working as an educator. I couldn't serve people. How was that? Like, when going back to what you said before, how was I able to be present? How was I able to listen intuitively to what is someone saying? How in the world was I supposed to help someone get their shit together when my shit was a disaster? Like, right? With the when some parts of it I held together, but some parts of it was a disaster. So I think I had that awareness to not really do that and not work with people. But now I think, because I'm very active in the program, because I'm very active in my recovery, I work on it every single day. This is not this is a good week. Like, let's, screw AA or like screw what the problem, no, like I have to be in it and I want to be reminded. So, but now there's such a calm, there's such a peace that kind of lives with me and exists with me. And I am probably more joyful than I've ever been. And I have a natural optimism for sure for life, but I think that now I'm really able to tell to people that like my hardest days are behind me. And if my hardest days are behind me and if I'm here, then I promise you, then you can be here too. So I don't know if that's a full answer to your question, but at the same time, I know that if your shit isn't together, there's no way that you can help other people. So that's kind of where I stand with that today.
Do you use what you're doing now as more like a living amends?
Again, a very interesting question.
Hey, I ask interesting ones, you know.
Yeah. That's it's a good one. It's made me like pause in my tracks. I like those. I am not fully sure if if I use my work as a living amends, but I do write a lot and I do want to make writing a big part of my life. What's very interesting is just the other day I wrote about this, that coaching helps other people find their voice, writing helps me find mine. And maybe my writing is what I hope can be a living amends to make through kind of what I experience on a day to day and kind of what I feel. And it really helps me to just make sense. And like, is this like my thinking that's again fucked up? Or like, is this a thought? Like, it helps me go through those moments. And again, it's that pause. Like, I believe that I've been able to have so much stillness in my life since I've been sober. And that is something that I never had before. And I'm so grateful for that because I think the best things in life can come from those moments of stillness. I really do. So but that's just my philosophy. I know it's different.
Oh,
For
I
everyone.
agree. I totally agree. Because we lived a life of chaos, and going from uncontrolled chaos to being able to just control our actions now and control our thoughts is incredibly enlightening, I think.
And just so calm and like peaceful. And I know I say this,
Yeah.
and I know that people, like, I just saw someone who hadn't seen me in 2 years, and she saw me. She didn't know that I was in a very, very, very downward spiral 3 weeks before my hospitalization. And she was like, there is such a aura of peace that sort of surrounds you, and you've just slowed down and you just are calm and like collected and you're not reacting to things. Again, that's a huge blessing sobriety has given to me, is this non-reactive state. So that was nice. The other day, someone asked, they were like, someone said to me, they're like, you seem off. Like, are you drinking? And I was like, ooh, and I was like, ooh, that's a good one. But and the person was like, I hope you're not going to hang up on me and you're not going to be mad at me and all of the things. And I said, I'm curious, actually, way more than you would think. Like, what of my behavior did you see that you reminded me of my drinking? What mannerisms did you maybe notice that made you think that way? Or was there something in my demeanor? Or was I not present? Or so I was like, I'm approaching it with curiosity. And I'm like, how you feel and what you think is 100% valid. Like, I'm not discrediting any of that because that's what it is. I'm also not explaining this to you, or I'm not overanalyzing this to you. At the same time, how you feel is how you feel.
But what made you think that I was, drunk?
Yeah. And I was like, that's really interesting. And what's even more interesting, because I was like, this person knew that I was going to an event and I was sending them pictures from an event where actually I was like speaking on camera and doing a bunch of things and driving 4 hours. And I was, but that's way too much explanation if you think about it too, of like, no, these are all the reasons. Because as addicts, my list of reasons, I had a thing on my phone which said excuses. And if I was like, sometimes like on a Sunday, because I was so out of my mind that I couldn't see even, and I was like, okay, let's pick one and like, let's send it. The headache, the car got a flat tire. Oh, this person's in trouble. Oh my God, I have a deadline.
The sky's blue.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy, like the amount of BS. But
I woke up on this side of the bed.
yeah, I woke up
Oh, wait, I woke up.
Yeah, so totally. So, and I was like, I'm not going to over explain this, but I was way more curious. And I think that's amazing that I'm at this place, even just this amount of time, where I was totally calm. And I was looking at what made the other person think that or feel that, and what can I do, not to reassure them, but just to maybe talk them through it, walk them through it, be of support, give them some comfort. But then my coach hat goes on and I'm already immediately like, what are they projecting? What is this feel? So right. It's a hard thing with me in a way, because then I'll put on my hat and then I'll go into coach mode. And that's not the mode that's really required here. I need to be just the human Karolina.
I've kind of, well, I've tried to change my attitude, and it, for the most part, from my addiction days to now, is big, huge change. Anybody will say so, but when somebody says, "Jay, are you still using it?" I kind of laugh, and because I find it funny. Because if you are asking me now from then, you're crazy, because I was not present ever, and so for somebody, are you getting high? I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I chuckle, and I kind of find it humorous because you knew me back then. And if you knew me back then you would know the change. And so it's just, I just find it humorous when somebody asks me that. I just laugh. I don't have to explain nothing. I just laugh.
Yeah.
And they normally take offense to that, or start laughing with me. And I'm like, yeah, there's your answer. I'm laughing at you. There's your answer.
Yeah. For some people, for this person, I wouldn't do that. And I
Right.
know it's coming from a place of goodness and a place of love. And so again, I was just really curious, and I
Yeah.
wondered why they had felt that way. And the old me would have been like, screw you. I'm not talking to
Right.
you. Like, who cares? And like what you said too, like if you knew me when I was drinking and drugging, you know that this is probably not like, this is not how I was. This is not how I spoke. This was not my speech. This was not my tone. This was not my demeanor. Like you can hear that. Like
You
I mean,
can.
now, sometimes people come in and they say that they're sober. And sometimes some of us look to each other and we're like, okay, all
Okay.
right, okay, all
If
right.
it's your
Like,
story,
yeah,
hey,
that's your
it's your story.
story, but okay.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just gonna let it be. But it's really fascinating how how sobriety can change you if you let it. If you
Yes.
let it, it can change you, and you won't see the shifts, and they're micro a lot of the times. But I lean into what people say, and that's don't give up before the miracle happens. And I think life
Mhm.
is full of little miracles if you see them, if you take the moment. But sobriety gives you that stillness to be able to do that.
I,
Inactivity
I,
to
I
be
hold on to that acronym of HOPE. Hold on, pain ends.
hold on, pin ends. I love that.
I like that one. And fail, first attempt in learning. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and there's quite a few good acronyms, but my favorite is the HOPE one.
Yeah.
And I know you probably answered this by saying you write a lot, but what was one of the major uh, uh, things that you did for healing, for the healing and coping? And I'm pretty sure you're going to say writing, because you just said you write a lot.
Writing is one of them. Meetings is a lot of them. A fantastic. I mean, as a woman, like I go to women's meetings, so there's a community of us who is that. But I am a geek when it comes to learning. It's my number one Clifton strength, and so I did all the things, breath, like anything that you can.
Mhm.
And I always say to people when it comes down to this that we're in 2025. The internet is such a big place. There are so many resources available. Go to YouTube, like as we are now. Turn on a sound bath, lay down on if you have nothing else, lay down on the floor on a towel and literally put on a sound bath and, nurture your nervous system. Also anything, like I'm a big exercise fanatic as well. So maybe that's where I changed one addiction to another. And I know that this can happen, that I go work out 6 times a week, whatever happens, like I'm at the gym, I'm trying something. Walks are really good too. Just getting out there, going for a walk. And so anything where in reading, just a lot of literature as well, like writing and listening to people's stories of how they've overcome things in their lives. But there's a lot of modalities out there to heal your inner child. A lot of this is inner child work too, because we all have to do that. But yeah, for me, for sure, like writing is going to be one of them. And again, just the power of the community that I have. And I know that anybody is just a phone call away, no matter what time it is. And I hope people know that if you're really serious about this, and if you want to, you want to get sober, this community is one that's going to hold you and carry you through it all if you let them, and if you're open, honest, and willing.
So going back to what you're doing now, outside of after recovery or during recovery or whatever you want to call it, after being addicted, living in the addiction lifestyle, what have you done since then, and how has that helped you in your healing process?
So is the question more of how have I embraced this lifestyle? Very much so. I think that how I have embraced it is knowing that, and I made peace with the fact that I will always be an alcoholic. Like I am like, hi, I'm Carolina. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic. I remind myself of this daily. I never forget. While they do say that play the tape forward, right? Like play the tape forward. This is where I'm a bad example. I also play it back. So
Mhm.
I'm also very vivid in remembering what was. And because I had such a serious rock bottom and so many serious events before it, that's a really good reminder to me. And I also remind myself that if I have a drink or a drug, I'm immediately going to have two problems instead of one. So that is just something that is like a slogan or whatever I have, two instead of one. And so I just try to say that, like, the meetings that I go to in rehab, they said that, listen, someone was like, what do you mean we have to go to a meeting every day or like go every 2 days? And one of the counselors was like, how many hours do you think you spent a weekend? Even if you were just drinking and drugging on a Friday, how many hours was that? Because for me, those days, like sometimes they were 3 days long. So that was not
Right.
that was like 72 hours, right, of my life. So 6, 7 hours a week committed to openly listening, because this is a listening where you're forgetting about yourself program. I have those 7 hours a week. So, and if I don't, I will make the 7 hours a week. I'll sleep less. I'll do whatever I need. But I know that I need to be reminded of what was and what I can lose if I don't stay committed to the process of recovery. And so I also know that if I don't go, then I'm just being dry, right? Like that's a dry state. And my goal or aspiration is to be in a sober state, right? Because there's always more work to be done. Like you, I feel
We're
like you know
working
this.
on the roots of the
There's
problem.
and there's always
Yes.
more. And I think
Yeah.
because the more honest you get with yourself and with this life, then is when you got to do more work. Like the work never stops. And I also hear from people that the more they're in the program, the more they need the program.
Yeah.
Like someone's like 32 years the other day. She's like, I need this more now than I needed this 1 or 2 years in. So that kind of blows, some of these things blow my mind, if I'm being honest with you. And so I'm just going to lean into the elders, into what the wise people say, because they've got way more experience than I do. They definitely know what the hell they're talking about. So I'm just going to stay committed to this, and to hopefully helping others throughout the process, sponsoring more people in the process, being of service. So the less I'm thinking about Carolina, the absolute freaking better.
That's awesome that you say that. What was some of the hardest things you've done uh and you're probably going to say probably step 4. Uh how hard was those steps for you to get through?
This might sound a little, I was ready for them. So like
Yeah.
I was ready.
Embraced
I
them. It's about time. Yes. Thank you.
no, so maybe it's not like, oh, I was ready, but I was ready to be honest with it. And
Yeah.
I think that's where I think this is important, that I found someone as a sponsor that I could fully trust. Like she knows everything about me. I will tell her anything at any time. I know she's not going to judge me. And so maybe that's what comes in handy, is you got to do it with someone that you trust, because you are laying it bare. Like she was sometimes like, okay, I got the polished and nice version because you're a good writer, Carolina, but now I want the real version. Now I want, like, let's strip away, like, she was like transition words. And no, I just want the bear story. Like, I just want what's going on underneath there. And so, I mean, I think with the steps, step 8 is a little bit harder than step 4, because that's where, like, but wait, they did that. So then
Right.
they did that. So if they did that, and if they're constantly being that way, why the hell do I got to be like, I'm so
Right.
sorry, I take accountability, da da da. But
That daily inventory.
that daily inventory, right? But at the same time, I got to clean my side of the street, right? So you got to clean. That's what they tell me. You got to clean your side of the street. Whatever happens on the other side is out of my control.
It doesn't
So
matter what somebody else does. It matters how you
what I do
react. And
and how I
yeah,
react to it.
yeah, that's the only things we can control, right? Is our actions and our reactions. Sometimes we can't even control our reactions because they happen so naturally, but we really can.
Right.
That's really the only things we have control over for ourselves is our actions and our reactions.
Right. I also think, I'm just reflecting on this, that I do think that step 3, which is, like really came to believe that a higher power greater than God could, like, for me, that conscious contact with God was a little bit harder as someone who didn't grow up like with, I mean, Presbyterian, but I didn't grow up with faith or in the church.
Mm.
And so, especially in rehab, when they were like, you got to find God, like you got to find, it was a little bit odd. It was a little bit like, Okay. So yeah. So this
You know,
guy.
so for me, I knew God. I had for when I recovered a little bit about my backstory. I recovered. My recovery date is 6/15/2024, but that's also the day I found my wife unalived in our closet, hanging in our closet, and that was my recovery date, and that was my rock bottom. Uh, that's the day I got sober.
Wow.
I mean, and me and God had a really long argument. We'll just say that way. We had a really long disagreement, and it was a come to Jesus moment. But I grew up in a Roman Catholic household. I knew him from the day I was born. You know, so uh, I kind of turned my back on him because I was not very Christian. You know, I did a lot of time in prison, and I wasn't such a nice guy, but I am now. You know, only with his help. You know, my higher power is Jesus Christ. And, you know, I had one guy on here that he couldn't get over the step 3 part. And his sponsor kept saying, well, pray to that God you don't believe in. Pray to that God you don't believe in. Next time you want to drink, pray to that God that you don't believe in. And I can understand how that would work.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
That's one that I think could be a little bit, something it's new. It can be foreign, right? But I also know now looking back that he was there when I always say that that week of the hospital was the worst week of my life, but actually now in hindsight, it was the best week of my life in a way. I mean, I'm so grateful for that and so grateful for that detox of what it was and for just having to sit my ass down and get a really good look at my life. And like, if this is happening now, this is going to happen and this is going to be worse. Like, this is not going to get better. You just know those little, we call the God winks, right? Like, this is a
Mhm.
God wink. And so now I know that God was with me, like in that moment, and he was carrying me. And he's like, child, this is what you need to do. Like, this is what you need to do. And it's going to be up to you is what you're going to do next.
And being able to recognize those instant answered prayers, like instantly, it's like, I just prayed for that in church and now it's happening. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you. You know, because you can recognize it instant once it starts happening and once you're actively participating in your life,
Mhm.
you know, you can recognize these things and it's like, didn't I just wait a minute, like 2 hours ago? And okay, okay, cool. Learning to accept things. That was hard for me too. Learning to accept what happened. That was really hard for me. And I still work on that. I still accept it daily. You know, that is a good thing. I can see the positive in everything now. I mean, if I'm looking positively, I can see the positive. If I choose to dwell in the negative, I'm going to see the negative. That's just the way life is.
Don't you think that one of the greatest blessings from all of this is kind of like the acceptance piece? I mean, you really learn it here if you want to. I think if you're open, but I was just at a meeting and someone was sharing that this guy went on an excursion for a whole year. He wanted to getting sober and he also wanted to figure out like what are the Aztecs doing? What are the Buddhists doing? What are all these big spiritual practices around the world? What are they doing and how do they become the way that they are? Came back a year later and he said, you know what they're doing? What you guys are doing in here? Acceptance. He's like, acceptance. He's like, they're all teaching acceptance. So
Yeah.
he's like, I didn't
Yeah.
need to go on a year-long excursion. He's like, even though it was great. I mean, I was in the Amazon. I mean, I was in Tibet. I mean, I was in Indonesia. I was in Thailand. It was great. But what I understood from what they all preached was that acceptance is the key. And I think for me, that is one of the greatest things that I've learned and am learning in the program that just you accept. You don't, I'm not saying be
Don't
complacent.
question it. Don't
Yeah, like
question
I'm not,
it.
not saying
You
like
know?
go with everything with the flow and
No.
like don't, but I always say that like I'm in the boat, I'm rowing, but God's leading it, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm doing
absolutely.
the work, but
I got
there
my
is
back
some,
to the freaking
yeah,
front, you
yeah,
know. I don't know exactly where I'm going. I'm just going to keep going there, you
right,
know. I
right,
like to say wherever I get is where I'm going to go, but knows how long it's going to take. I don't know.
right.
I don't know
And
where I'm going, you know. Wherever I get is where I'm going, you know.
yeah. And let me ask you, I'm curious, what about for you for the steps? Which one do you think was maybe the hardest or had the most profound impact on your life so far?
The 12th,
Okay.
the giving back.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. I think without that, one, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. Um, two, that I would lose a sense of purpose. Um, I think there's a purpose for everything, and I think everybody's put here for a purpose. And I really truly believe that helping others is the best purpose I can do, the best thing I can do. So that was really, really the most impactful for me. Step four was easy. That I mean, my life's an open book. I don't care. I Google me, you'll find all shit that I did, you know. Um, so it was very easy for me to admit things that I did wrong and to people that I've wronged. You know, will I ever be able to make some of those up? No, no. So I do a living amends, and helping others is a living amends.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful that you shared that. And that makes a lot of sense. And I think that that's what we learn here is that as long as I'm of service to others, I'm being of service to myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, it keeps me accountable. You
Right.
know, the steps really can be summed up in it could well go back to what was it the 6 or 7 that it was originally, uh, but being accountable, accepting, and having a God. You know, because if admitting you got a problem, yeah, I've got a problem, or else I wouldn't be here. You know, saying that you can't manage it, yeah, I sure in the hell can't manage it because if I could manage it, I still wouldn't be here. And accepting God, yeah, I'm gonna accept that, you know, and being accountable, you know, uh, as if I can be accountable to myself and I'm accountable to others, that also holds me accountable. You know, that's one of the biggest ones right there is accountability.
I love that. And that you said that. I think for me too, now people slowly but surely have gotten to, trust me more
The
in
trust
terms of
again.
if I am going, like, if I'm saying I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there, but I'll also tell
Mhm.
you if I'm not going to be there. Like, I've gotten really comfortable with no as an
The
answer.
no, yeah.
No is an answer, and there is nothing wrong with that. Like, I have to, protect also my energy and my well-being, and some boundaries in there is also great. That's something that was really interesting. I didn't have problems with boundaries in my life as much. Some people struggle with that. I didn't have that, but I'm very comfortable with a no. With this
I did
a
have
no
a
with a
problem with
smile. A no
boundaries,
with a smile. A no with a
you know,
smile.
because
You know?
I was a people pleaser, you know. Even in addiction, I was kind of a people pleaser. I was an asshole people pleaser, but I was still, you know, but now once I got sober and once I started getting clean, I was like, I really kind of like people anymore. You know, let me rephrase that. I like people. I don't like to people.
Okay.
I don't
I
like
like that.
peopling. Yeah. You know, so it was really hard for me I would set boundaries and I'd still because I still felt shitty about everything that happened to me and everything that led to me where I was at. I felt less than a lot.
Mhm.
You know, I don't anymore, but I did then.
Mhm.
And, it's sometimes I get in those moods and I remember and it's like, I'm not that person. I know what I'm worth now. I know my value. But having those boundaries and telling somebody else that, yeah, I'm not going to put up with your bullshit anymore because I'm not going to put up with my bullshit anymore. That was hard for me. Early on, it was hard for me.
And that I think
Now,
makes a lot of
no.
sense. Yeah. Now, but it makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of us as addicts are probably in a way people pleasers. I mean, there's so much that we always want to do and show up in the best light but people pleasing as well is something that's missing in you because if you know your worth and if you know your value and if you know kind of what you bring to the table, a lot of that people pleasing can dissipate. So I think that
Because
that's
we do teach others how to treat us.
Mhm.
That's 100% a fact. We teach others what we're going to accept and the way we want to be treated. Or else, who else is going to show them? By saying no, by setting up a boundary, you're reinforcing, hey, I'm not going to accept this behavior out of you. I expect better. I expect better from myself. So I'm not going to do it back to you either. Plain and simple.
plain and simple. Very much so. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. It excites me. I think this process of sobriety excites me very much so because I feel that I've learned so much about myself. So much I'm hoping to learn about life as well. And the real meaning and the real purpose. And as long as I can keep my peace, I know that my mental health is also going to be okay. And that's the most important. And I cherish that piece. Like, I mean, this whole apartment can burn down and some nice things. And, you know, I mean, I do. And I'm a woman and I like to collect nice things. But if it went away, I mean, just as long as my peace can stay and as long as I can know that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay because I'm responsible for Karolina and you know, my hardest days are behind me. I know I go back to this, then it's okay. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
then we're okay. The rest I'll solve, the rest I'll figure out. You know, as a coach, I don't really see problems. I see opportunities anyway. So, but this is just something that I hold on to it like, you know, Gilligan's treasure. I don't know, whatever it is, but truly.
So I know being in recovery, they say don't have any significant relationships in the first year. You know, don't have any significant, don't fall in love in the first year because you don't know how to handle yourself emotionally anyway. You know, so how are you almost, 2 years in now, and you're like a dating coach too?
Well, so I help people with, that's not a dating coach, with relationships. Let's say
Just
that, because I think that's a tricky,
relationship
so
coach.
relationships, right? This is the part I actually have been, I'll be very honest. I took that to heart. I had an
Yeah.
addiction counselor and he said the first year get an orchid or something or get a plant.
Get a plant.
The next year get a dog or what a pet, cat, you know, guinea pig, rabbit, I don't know, whatever. There's so many. Now I'm hearing that there's, I don't know, someone in my building was like, can a goat be a support animal? So
I've got
anything
an
can happen,
emotional
right?
support animal. It's my
Yeah,
cat.
so anything can happen, but I took it to heart and I am now at the stage where I am meeting people and I am open to meeting, but not forcing. There's a really big difference at this stage of
Natural.
my life.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
kind of what happens will happen. And if the connection is there, the connection is there. But again, selfishly, I think I didn't even think about anybody besides just maintaining my sobriety the first year. So I took it to heart and I didn't engage in relationships because I didn't know, would it make me lose my balance? Would it make me lose my focus? And for the first time in my life, because I actually liked myself, peaceful. And because the first time I actually liked myself in life and actually started to say that, like, hey, you're kind of
Standards.
like you're kind of, and it also like I was kind of like, hey, Karolina, like I kind of like you. Like I like your humor. Like I like the way you are. I like your energy. Like I like things about you. And because I was writing this, I like myself for the first time in my life train, I also felt that that was something that, like, how am I going to let someone into this? Plus, I felt that even now I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm 100% yet, but I know that a relationship is 100% and 100% and not 50-50.
Absolutely.
And that's what I tell people too, that if you are ever getting into a relationship because a part of you is lonely, broken, traumatized, not happy, and getting in a relationship, I can tell you one thing for certainty, that relationship is not going to fill any of those buckets or holes or voids. So don't do it.
Absolutely.
So that's also something that I think is important, that when you're okay, when you're really, really okay, if now someone comes into my life and if they add value and if they're going to bring like some juju on the beat or whatever you want to call it, then fantastic. But I'm going to be careful. Like that person also, like he has to be someone that's doing the work. So I don't mean like they don't have to be sober or anything like that, but they have to be
working on the relationship,
working on their relationship with themselves, with life, and making sure that they're also great. Because I know that I'm not being a therapist in a relationship or someone's mother and like, you know, taking care of that. So again, I wouldn't have this awareness or perspective though, if I wasn't sober. Like for sure, because I was searching for relationships all the time when I was.
Well, you just got in a relationship with yourself. You're just starting to learn.
It's like,
you
oh
know,
my God,
you're
like,
in
I
a
love
relationship
this.
with yourself right now, and I don't want to add anybody to the chaos yet. You know, especially in that first year. You know, it is recommended that you don't in the first year. It's not saying don't. It's just recommended that you don't. You know,
Right.
And it really is, because if you're missing something, there's a hole in your heart. You're missing something, a bad relationship, whatever the case may be. You've got this hole in your heart, and you're just willing to fill it with anything. You're willing to fill it with anything except for the right thing, and that's Jesus Christ. And because His love is never ending. Let's be plain and simple. If we're going to love, I want that type of love. And so, tell me more about this relationship coaching.
When I say that my title, right? So I'm a energy leadership and transition coach. And so I went through a very unique program. And so people don't realize that what I'm actually coaching is their energy and how they're showing up. And so there's 7 levels of energy that are present in all of us. And think about it this way. Like level 1 is the lowest level of consciousness and level 7 is the highest level of consciousness. And so what I help people with, and through relationships, through job transitions, through those things, it's more of how do I be more conscious and how do I more create the life that I want? And that's where they have a partner in me. And a lot of people, when it comes to relationship advice and support that they need, I see a lot of them filling the voids for a lot of wrong reasons. So and because I have this sobriety as well, I really like, let's go in and do the deep work. Let's get to the ugly. Let's get to the things that you don't want to tell other people, that you don't want to uncover. But I'm always questioning why, if someone is like, well, I've been single for 5 years and I just need to be in a relationship. The minute that I hear something like, oh, I need to be, that's an energy that we need to explore, right? Like, what do you mean you need to be in a relationship?
Why do you need it?
Why do you need to be in a relationship? And also, if it's always someone that comes and they're always like, my partner did this, my partner did this. Why is your partner reacting that way? What did you do in this? What is your part in this? So it's all one work. It's all like coaching the people's energy, and whether it's relationships, whether it's a career transition, building a business, whether it's moving to another country, I do just try to create a container of holding that space for people and really getting comfortable with uncovering the things that you don't want to. But as I said this before, we do all have the answers. It's just, are you willing to really look at those and to be honest? Because I think a lot of people, Jay, I don't know how you feel, but a lot of people I feel are afraid of getting honest.
They are. Absolutely. Especially, that's why I don't hold no punches when it comes to recovery. I hold no punches. I will not coddle an addict, because if you do, you bury one, first of all. I won't be unnecessarily mean. I will be very stern, very stern, very unshakable in what I'm telling you. I'm not saying what you need to do. I'll say what's best for you. I'll never tell somebody what they need to do. I'll give them options and they have to do it themselves. Like the person that I got into the recovery center down in San Antonio or Corpus Christi, one of those two. There's 2 of them. And I told him, hey, I opened the door for you. I called the director. She's on the line. You just called. You talked to her. You said they had a bed for you. She said they had a bed for you. They will hold it a bed. You just got to get there. It's like, but I don't want to. I'm like, then I don't want to hear nothing more from you. I don't want to hear it. Plain and simple.
Jay,
I did my part. Got you into the place. You've got to do your part and go and get the best knowledge you can. Plain and simple.
When you're ready, you're ready. Like I knew when I came out of that hospital, I said to my family, I said, I'm ready. And of course it's scary and you're going away, and I was going to another country, but that's fine. And doing all these things, but you don't know what you're going to know. But I knew that I was ready, because left to my vices, we weren't getting anywhere. We were getting into more problems, more trouble, more shit, more shame, more guilt, more blame, and more me. This happened to me. You don't understand what I'm feeling, what I'm going through. And that I knew that like Karolina's isms are just not going to be anything that's going to lead us to success. So when you go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
How different was it going to your home country to do a recovery?
The one thing that excited me about it was that Hungarian is a very emotionally expressive language. And it's for that. It is, you can say I love you in like 17 different ways, where the English or like German I speak as well are different. And so I was excited or hopeful about the fact that I know that I'm going to really be able to tell these people how I feel. And it was also one that was only for alcoholism. That was my main addiction. And so I think it was cool in a way that we were going to all have a common language and we were going to focus on maybe one issue. Of course, they're all connected, but I felt, I don't know. I felt very, very, how did I really feel? I felt more comfortable going into a rehab back home in Hungary than I think I would have going to just one where I knew nothing about it, maybe here, even though they're fantastic. They're all great. If you make them, if you allow them, they're all great. But when I met the owner of the rehab, we had a Zoom, and the things of like, how long have you been sober? There was a requirement if you had to have 4 days of detox before you could enter, and all those things. And so he just gave me like a Santa Claus vibe and like a real father kind of thing. And it was a family run business. So I was just, in the way we had found it, I felt was God doing his work, because there was one opening, one woman could come, was one place, someone
you
backed
fit it
out. Like it
perfect.
was a
Yeah.
series of events of like,
Right.
this is where you got to go. Like, this is
Pulling
the path.
strings, somebody pulling strings.
Yep, someone's pulling the strings. God was pulling the strings. And so I think that gave me peace and comfort. And yeah, I had a good experience. I had a really good experience.
So while you're helping people, how do you deal with the person that falls in love with you? Because I know you probably had that happen a few times. Just helping somebody emotionally, going through whatever they go through. And it's like, you know what? Because it's happened to me, and I've had to like, no, a few times, in the nicest way possible. How do you tell somebody no? And when they think they are falling in love with you.
Okay, this is going to sound, I don't know, whatever it's going to sound, but I don't know, is because the business side of me is a very different side of me. And because
Right.
I'm very kind of no fluff and no bullshit when it comes to that. And I mean, I'm being much more vulnerable and much more open with you and right now, but maybe because of my demeanor, I know I've been told, I have not or no one's told me that they felt this way, but I haven't experienced this. And I don't know if it's because, again, like, I'm just kind of all business when it comes to what we're doing. And it's not about
Very
me, it's about
businessy.
you.
Right.
I'm businessy. So I don't think I allow that to sort of to happen. I make it known that this is a relationship built on trust and all of that,
Right.
but I am not here. But the one thing that I will say to you is, the one time I have felt something that was off, now I have a one strict policy of I only do virtual. So I only do virtual meetings. With females, I will meet in person, but with males, after a very uncomfortable incident that I had, I don't do that. And so therefore that is also, I don't want to call it a barrier or a shield, but what's the worst that can happen on camera? Right.
Right.
So that maybe to me is something, that a strategy that I've just gone moving forward, that this is a very clear boundary. And actually, I mean, I work with more males than I do with females, interestingly enough. And this is something that I've had, but no one's ever told me that, like, ooh, Karolina. So I don't know. I think it's just a matter of how you can come across. And I know that I put my my corporate hat on and just kind of go business. But of course I'm loving and I'm caring, and there's none of that. And like, people will say this, like, I'm very, very empathetic and I'm very caring and compassionate, but I do that in a way that I know that someone is coming to me for help. And so I can only offer help if I do stay in that coach mode the entire time.
Absolutely. 100% agree. It's just funny that the online aspect of it, the Zoom meeting aspect of it, it's so impersonal that you would think that it doesn't work, but it does. I think it works better because they can be more open and honest with themselves and with you, for example, than they would be able to do it in person.
I don't know. You'll see. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I come across like I don't know. I feel like people have never told me that I don't come across differently in person or in camera. I think that
I don't know you in person, so there you go.
Yeah. But I think if you're present with someone,
yes,
and if you're really present with someone, that is something that can happen online or offline. And
absolutely.
People just sense that. And that is just either you are or you aren't. And that's where I can see, if you're not present, I can see an online relationship not being like mutually beneficial. Right. However, if you are present and you're engaged, then why would they? And it's comfortable. Like, some people just like to sit on the couch when they talk to me. They don't want to, or sometimes they're in the car and like, hey, Karolina, I just have to talk to you for 15 minutes. How would that work if they had to meet me? So I'm right. grateful for the online world and for being able to work as thus, but I guess we all have different feelings.
Oh, very. I just think it's funny that since COVID, the online thing has really, really skyrocketed. Yeah. And I think there's been a lot of addiction and mental health issues because of that. In fact, last year was the first year in a number of years the alcohol use, the consumption has actually went down across the United States, except for in 2 states, Kentucky and Tennessee. Everywhere else, it's gone down. You
Interesting.
know, Kentucky and Tennessee, come on, that's where bourbon's from. So the alcohol use across the country has gone down last year, except for in those 2 states. But I think that's more people going out and interacting again.
Mhm.
It's not people staying home and getting stuck and feeling like, well, can't do nothing else. Might as well just get wasted. That
Absolutely.
attitude, being able to connect with people. How big is connection in your recovery?
Oh, huge. I mean, that is so huge, and now I feel that I'm connecting with the right people, right? Like,
There you go.
I definitely there's a lot of people in my life who are not a part of my life, a lot of friends that just used to be drinking and drugging partners, that used to come to me when they needed something. So my circle is a lot smaller. So I always say this, that my life on the outside looks a lot smaller, but it's infinitely bigger on the inside. And the relationships that I have, the connection that I've built with people in the program, the relationship that now, for example, that I have with my mother is just, I mean, it's so precious and stronger than ever. The circle of my dear friends who I can count on one hand, they just know that I'm reliable, I'm emotionally available, that they can like call me and I'll make them laugh their heads off. You know what I mean? But that there's going to be no surprises, to be honest with me. And so these connections have just grown significantly. And I think if you let it happen, they can. Your circle will get smaller, and the people that are in your circle are also going to change. Like, I don't really, I'm thinking in my life, if there's one person that maybe like does drink and does use, maybe more of like not a daily like I was, but more of a, I don't know, party user, whatever you want to call it. But when that is happening, they know not to call me, they know not to text me. I'm not interacting. Like, I have a clear boundary of, if you're ever drunk or high, I'm not interacting with you unless you're near me, and then let's go to a meeting. And then I'm going to pick you
Right.
up, and then we go to a meeting. And then it's like, cuz of course, so I don't want that to
Yeah.
come out as not. But if you're just like, "Oh, I'm just pissed," and like pissed isn't drunk, I'm just
Butt
pissed
dialing,
and like butt
whatever.
dialing and like, "Oh, hey," and like,
Right.
no, I'm definitely not your person. I'm not entertaining that, and we have nothing to talk about. And my life changed. Like, I go to different things, I do different things, but I'm not like going to raves. I'm not going to parties. I don't, if I'm
We learn how to
dating,
party different.
and also if I'm dating, I'm not meeting, like, for example, I'll tell people I'm not meeting you at a bar. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to a bar. Like, we can go to a restaurant and like do whatever, but like there are things that I'm not. And I was invited to go to Colombia for a trip, and I was like, I am not ready to go to Colombia. Like, I'm not ready to go to Colombia. Like, I'm not sure about that. Like, how would it be to go to Colombia and like have to be sober, man? Like, that's one of those, like, damn, like if I would have been there 10,
Rio, it's like,
I would still be there.
why do I want to go there without if I'm gonna be sober? Come on.
I don't know. I
Colombian.
mean, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I know there's a huge wellness community in Medellin and like
Yeah,
a bunch of
absolutely
these
there
things.
is.
And of course, like I can, but the thought came in of
The
like,
thoughts.
hmm.
How do you deal with those triggers on daily basis? Or let me ask it this way. There is triggers, and I use those as cross that out and say excuses. But how do you deal with those moments that I feel like I could, those triggers,
Let me answer that.
emotional, and using triggers.
Okay, so when it comes to using triggers, which are like cravings, my cravings now to this day are gone. It took a while. I mean, almost the first year was fully, 6 months was rough. 3 months was very rough. And but after a year, they started to get lower and lower and lower. Now I don't want to, I mean, I do want to say that they're almost non-existent. The thought of having a drink is just, I don't know. Like, I tell people, I don't tell everybody that I'm sober all the time. I just say I don't drink. And it's kind of like I don't eat meat. And it's become one of those things where I don't eat meat. I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah,
Like,
quit offering it to me. I'm gonna say
yeah,
no.
like, and I've
Yeah.
like, what in the world would it show me, or what would it give me? Because I feel like just been there, done that. And I know every angle of it. Cause I mean, I had almost 20 years of it.
Mhm.
That, like, after 20, 22 years, what more can it show me? Or like, how would it be different? So I don't have the craving. So I'm grateful for that the cravings are now gone. And I also think that the more you're in the program and the rooms, like it takes away, like people say it and it's true. Like, I don't know if I could go out and have like a good drink or like go to Columbia, do a line and like,
Right.
woo, like, I
Right.
just don't know. I would think about all the things that I'm missing and and also I
Like,
hate
oh
the
shit, I got to go back. I need to talk to my
and I hate the number
sponsor.
0 unless it's at the end of a sentence.
Right.
So I don't know if I want to see like 0 days. Like that would
Yeah.
just suck. Like that
Yeah.
would suck 0. But the triggers, I think they happen to us all the time, and that's just life. And it just goes back to how do I want to react to this? And what is this moment trying to teach me? Like, why is this part of my story? So this is where being a coach comes in and helps, that constantly what I'm doing is asking questions. And so I do a lot of self-reflection and I ask, like, why are you pissed, Karolina? Like, why are you reacting to this? Like, what about this is trying to teach something about myself, and where do I have to do more work? Because I go to a therapist, I go to a coach, like, trust me, I do the work. I'm not one of those people that I help others and then I don't help myself, but it's just then a moment of reflection and pause as to why is this showing up in my life? That's kind of how I
Very
deal
good.
with it. I don't know if it's the best answer, and I don't know
Hey,
if that's
my answer, honestly, the day I quit, 2 days into it, I stopped having cravings.
mm,
Now, that's not to say I haven't wanted to use, because it was what I would normally do, but it wasn't a craving. It was more of a want. It
mm,
wasn't, I need this. It's, I don't want to deal with what I'm dealing with, and I could do this way. And I know how it would make me feel, but I don't need to do it anymore.
right.
So it wasn't necessarily a craving, it was a want. And I'd talk to it with somebody and it's like, you know what, I really feel like I want to go do something.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna, I know better, but I want to. It's not a need anymore, it was a want. And we talked about it, and she's like, you better not, I'll kick your ass. I'm like, I wasn't gonna do it, I'm telling you how I feel though. you know
Absolutely.
and I've got a good community, I've got a good support system.
Yeah.
And I can call multiple people anytime of day or night, and they're there if I ever needed to. I've never had to. The one time I did, and I discussed, like I said want to, only because that's the way I used to do it. That was my habit, that was my common. So, but I don't need to. So is there's a big difference. When did
Absolutely.
every day start to be a normal day for you? How far into recovery did your normal day not include drinking or drugging or getting loaded?
Oh, but like since what do you mean? Like in terms of
Like you wake up and you're going through the day and it's like, wow, this is just a normal day. Huh.
I mean, again, I had a really strong rehab experience.
Yeah.
I had a very horrible medical, like hospital in like, experience. And so I would say normal days but first couple months were still, I'm bored. Like, I don't know what to do with this time. I am very confused as to why I'm feeling this way. That all came in, but I would say around 6, 7, 8 months, it started to just, this is my life. Like, this is my life. And that's now, I would say this definitely this past couple months, like very much closer to 2 years. I say these things like, I don't drink. People don't ask me. I don't over explain. I just know that I am a person living a life of recovery, and I will be a person living a life of recovering. And that I do hope to be of service more and more in this community and more in this life, and to give back to those sick and suffering. And so now I'm very comfortable with this life. Like, this is my life. I embrace it. I'm not shy about it. I'm not embarrassed about it. I don't feel the guilt. I don't feel the blame. I always say it's your fault and your fault, right? Like, that's something that I lean into. Like, it's always your fault. And so now I'm like really comfortable. So maybe 6, 7 months, I could feel a shift, but I would definitely say the second year has been what has kind of been what it seems to be the start of the next chapter.
That's awesome. So tell me about this book you're writing.
Okay. So yeah, totally different. But yeah, I mean, I look around in my community, and the one consistent problem that I feel that everybody has been having is dating, right? Like, dating, and the problem with the apps, and the problem in men are pointing at women and women are pointing at men. And, I'm not trying to exclude the LGBTQ plus community. I'm just using this language for thus. And I was like, okay, well, I know for myself too that, the apps are a struggle. It's really hard through the pandemic and everything. I realized that our values have shifted and that we're also in the technological revolution. And we can't be, this is going to be the premise of the book, is that we can't be playing tennis with badminton rules. And so we just live in a different state now. People are dating different. People have different belief systems. There's a lot that's changed, and I'm looking
value
at
systems, what
value
they
system,
want
and I'm
out of
also
it.
looking at the brain development and how our nervous systems are. And so I'm also looking at the science behind this, and like there's a lot of research that goes back to how men have developed the last 20 years and what's been the shifts for women as well. The provider role is really different now. Women are in much more leadership roles. Like the whole premise of how you used to date, even like our parents' time or whatever, is not what it is now. And so we just kind of have to accept this. And a lot of people that you see in the dating world, like we treat them like products. I always say that kind of dating is a little bit like going on Amazon Prime, and you don't like it, return, money back guarantee, give it a 1, 2, 3, 4-star review. And that has also really created a lot of issues and for a lot of people, and we're treating it like a game. So I believe that there is this manifesto hopefully will provide both new ways to date, new ways to think, new ways to approach this, very actionable tips and resources and tools for both men, for both women. There's going to be a lot of understanding. The forward is going to be written by a dear friend of mine. She's also a best-selling author of The Gaslit Brain and The Bullied Brain. And we're looking at how our brains are different and wired. So I think it's going to be very interesting and taking a different perspective on things, because this is sort of a crisis and an epidemic away for people. Everybody wants to be in a relationship. You have to do the work. We've talked about that. But there's more to this story. And so I want to get to the bottom of it. And if even like 1 or 2 people are going to be able to say that, you know what, something about that helped me shift and helped me think about this differently in my approach, then I already think it's a success. But it is something that has to be written, because, that's going to be called, it's going to be called Welcome to the Dating Epidemic and What to Do About It. So, like whether you want to, so I'm excited for it, and it jazzes me up a lot.
Well, I look forward to the book. I think maybe, I don't know about that yet, but it's more like a how-to. Is it like a how-to guide, or just
there's going to be actions and tips
Okay.
and strategies, but it's also going to be understanding why kind of we are where we are today. Like why are so many people struggling, and what we can absolutely do about it. It's not like a how-to manual. It's not like how to build a car, and it's like bum, 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 because we're all so different and we're all looking for different things in our relationships, in a partner, in life, right? So that's also more the premise of it. But of course, I'm weaving in little notions of like, you got to change your consciousness a little bit too, and your awareness to be able to have success. And I also do think, and not just to me, but to other people need to go to relationship coaches. It's not just so much therapy, because a lot of people go to therapy and then we are in the past, but go through and talk about
learning how to live with another person. That's
right,
hard
what
to
it's
tell.
like to live. And also people don't want it to be hard. A relationship is one of the hardest things you're ever going to get into. And it's a daily work. It's just like our sobriety is a daily work. A relationship is a daily practice and a daily commitment. So we can't forget that.
Yeah. If you're not being committed to it, then, once a relationship starts to be one person's giving and another person's taking, whether it's one that way or the reverse, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. It's got to be equal give, equal take, lifting each other up, 100, like you said. There ain't no 50-50. It ain't, it's got to be all the time. I agree.
All the time.
Last question before I let you go and have a wonderful day is one thing that anybody listening, anybody in recovery, anybody in addiction, anybody listening at all, what would you want them to take away from this conversation?
So many things that are going through my mind, right? It's always like that one thing. But maybe it's going to be that be open, be curious, and know that if something so far isn't working for you, why don't you just give this a try just for a little bit, and You're going to be scared and it's going to be scary and you're going to have bad days, but just be open, just be curious and just see what's possible, because I know that I look at pictures of the old me and then I look at the person now and there's like joy in my eyes and there's a sparkle in my eye. And I didn't used to see that for a really long time. I used to say that I was a ghost on the inside, but very stylish on the outside. And I still maintain that. But at the same time, life is just going to be so much more of a blessing if you allow it. Like if you allow it, this program and this sobriety can change you totally from the inside out, but you have to be willing and open. So if anything, I'm just asking for a little bit of openness and a little bit of curiosity, and to not give up before the miracle happens.
It's kind of like my favorite saying is don't let your comfort zone become your own prison.
Mm,
Get outside your comfort zone. And instead of thinking, what if I fail? What if you succeed? What if you win?
all those little
change that
mindset
question
shifts.
up.
Right.
Change that question up. What if I win?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's more difficult than what if I fail? What if I win?
Right.
Well, thank you, Karolina.
Thank you so much, Jay. That was awesome. I mean, I'm so grateful for you taking the time to meet too. And yeah, what a gift. Like today, this was my AA meeting. So today I didn't make it to a meeting. Today was a busy day, but you know what? I committed this time to my recovery today and to be on it and to get honest with it. So I've checked.
Thank you for being open and vulnerable and answering the hard questions, even though you probably weren't expecting them, so thank you for that. And that's your edition of Rock and Recovery. I hope everybody out there is having a great day. Remember, you are worth it. And we're going to be out of here.